The real tragedy is that most people never learn about this, so they continue living a small life. Anytime I go online, I see everyone I know living their best life. I am drowning in a sea of problems, stuck in survival mode while everyone else is thriving. It honestly feels like I'm living on a different planet.
If I asked you what thriving might look like for you, what would you say?
I can't even imagine what that would be like. The concept is completely foreign to me. I am so exhausted. I really feel trapped. I have no control over my life. Am I screwed?
Yes, definitely. Just kidding. I got you. Get ready for some truth bombs though, because today I'll share the 3 things you'll have to understand if you are serious about going from surviving to thriving. Be sure to stick to the end because I'm going to share a simple exercise that will show you how to end the cycle of frustration. Okay, now here's what you may not want to, but definitely need to hear. More than likely, what's holding you back from living the life you deserve is not your circumstances, but a part of yourself you didn't know to pay attention to. All humans have this built-in protective function in our minds. This part is so risk-averse that over time, it ends up limiting our perception of what's possible, making life feel more and more constrictive over time. The good news is, you can access and modify this part of yourself, then use the same method to get whatever you want. See, most people approach their frustration with life by trying to control their external circumstances, hoping that the forced change will bring on the relief they're looking for. Before we start working together, this is one of the top things my clients ask for. And that's a shame because the external events may be legitimately challenging, but what's making you feel shitty is how you interpret those challenges, whether you want to shut down or try harder. And you draw conclusions about your life, like feeling trapped or drowning in a sea of problems, based on this internal response.
I guess that makes sense, but that really sucks.
The good thing is, we all have the capacity to live rich, connected, fulfilling lives, no matter our social status or prior life circumstances. The solution is not to control all of that. It's to work with this.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, who are you? How did I get on this call?
Oh yeah. Hi, I'm Ina Eisenstein. As a hypnotherapist, I get a front row seat to hundreds of my clients' subconscious limiting stories. I watch how these stories play out. Over time, they decrease people's access to creative solutions and expansive opportunities. Like the lens of a camera, these limiting stories narrow our understanding of the options available to us. How many opportunities you're aware of will decide whether it feels like you're thriving or just surviving.
Here is the truth. You have access to the same thrivability resource as any successful person who's ever lived. That powerful resource is your malleable mind. You surrendering to the misdirection of your overprotective subconscious mind is what's actually holding you back. So whenever you feel stuck in life, try to remember your subconscious fears are playing a huge role, and they are not reliable sources of truth. Imagine being on edge about an invisible monster following you around without consciously realizing it. You don't know why your nervous system goes into fight or flight mode every time you get up in the morning. Yet your body, whose impulses are directed by your subconscious mind, is responding to that threat as though it is very real. Your goal is to uncover your oftentimes inflated subconscious fears so you can either disprove them or do something about them. So how can you be sure that a part of your perspective is currently blocked? If every attempt at change isn't getting you to where you want to go, but you know that people have overcome similar challenges, that means that the solutions that can make a real difference aren't visible to you. That shutter is closing in tight, preventing you from seeing the bigger picture or all of your available options. Once you've expanded that range, the solutions to your current challenges will seem obvious. Now, the real tragedy isn't that you are living through a needlessly exhausting, unfulfilling phase in your life. It's not even that you're losing faith in yourself to turn things around. I know how painful that can be. The tragedy is that the solution to living an empowered, liberated life is pretty straightforward and only requires a small fraction of the courage you think it demands. The real tragedy is that most people never learn about this, so they continue living a small life. Now, if I'm being honest, the only reason I can speak to this is that I have been in the exact place of unrecognized subconscious limitation myself. Years ago, I was pummeled by a series of rock bottom events. That phase stretched over several years for me and spanned across my personal life, my relationships, my career, and eventually my health. After years of ignoring my problems, followed by a long period of actively looking for solutions, I finally found a few miracle workers who helped me realize the limiting situations I had unknowingly created for myself. I'm going to share with you the most important thing I learned back then. To experience profound transformation, you must own your role in your current painful story. You must do it with self-compassion for who you've been and appreciation for who you are becoming. You can bring compassion to your prior life experiences by recognizing that what got you here was simply an overwhelmed protective function of your physiology. There is nothing broken within you. No part of you is rooting against you. You simply haven't been taught what to pay attention to. You can finally stop blaming yourself for the shitty job or difficult relationship you find yourself in. You can stop believing that this is just how life is or that you're not worthy of anything better. The more actively you choose to pay attention to your subconscious fears, the faster you can take aligned action, the more significant the change that follows will be. Have you ever heard the saying, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate? It's a quote by the late psychoanalyst Carl Jung. If you're feeling helpless about your life, meaning your challenges feel like fate, yet you doubt that your own subconscious limiting patterning has contributed to those experiences in meaningful ways, I encourage you to test your hypothesis. You have nothing to lose. Yes, you will have to go out on a limb and believe that things can be better for you. You'll definitely have to let go of the limiting story that life will always suck. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your conscious mind can override your limiting subconscious impulses any day of the week. I'll give you an example. If you've ever sworn off sugar, then found your hand in the cookie jar without ever realizing how you got there, that's your subconscious mind repeating old impulse behaviors going on autopilot. If you ever successfully pulled your hand out of the cookie jar or understood that was an option, that's your conscious mind overriding that impulse. When you feel like shit, you can always choose to investigate. You can do this on your own, with a friend, therapist, or coach. I'll be making more videos on this subject because it's kind of my favorite, but for now, here's the short exercise I promised you that's a great place to start. As you sit with the discomfort of your challenge, ask yourself this: what is the action I wish I could take that I'm afraid of? If my life depended on the completion of this action, how could I take it? What are the prerequisites that need to be in place to make this happen? What is the first step in making that a reality? You may not find all the perfect solutions on your first try, but I can guarantee that there are options available to you that can make things better right now. You just have to acknowledge those inflated fears. Finding solutions to the things you used to fear allows you to question your limiting beliefs. It allows you to widen that lens and see possibilities you couldn't before. You may discover that even if you can't solve your problem tomorrow, you can put in consistent effort over the coming weeks and months and really turn things around. And remember, bring compassion to this process. Over time, this kind of self-inquiry becomes second nature and strengthens those problem-solving neural pathways. If you watched my video about generalization, then you know how powerful that transformation can become. You get to give yourself the freedom and support you've been craving all along. If you enjoyed this video and want to be notified when more come out, be sure to subscribe.